probably the Carlyle group was the same way, and these guys are going to be the same, where these are just corporate guys in an office somewhere who are getting, statistics from Jagex, and it's saying, we're making this much money, and as long as Jagex continues to make more and more profit, I don't think that they don't know RuneScape. They're not going to come in and say, oh, I think that you need to change the drop rates on this. All they care about is that it's making increasingly more profit. At the end of the day, just keep tuning into this podcast and we will tell you when to delete your account.
Yeah, that's right. We're really close, but we're not there yet.
No.
Guys, we are here at the Wilderness Podcast with a emergency podcast, emergency alert.
Thank
you. I don't want people to think that we're like, some people are thinking this is like an overreaction that the community is having, but I really don't think it's an overreaction when Jagex is literally trying to ruin our lives right now. So we have to get into this. Trey, give us a quick rundown of what's going on. Why should everyone be freaking out right now?
Yeah, my wife is in labor right now, and it's more important that I'm here today to talk about this issue. It is potentially the most important moment of our lives right now.
It's our final stand. Gamers unite.
That's right. Yeah, so back when you probably heard at the beginning of the podcast, back when Carlyle took over, they bought Jagex. Yeah, it was, this is what everybody has been worried about since that happened. It's a company they just see it as, another source of income. It's a company who's known for kind of pumping and dumping things like this. And it took them a little bit of time. And this is the big probe of, this isn't like nothing has happened as far as like nothing has actually changed in the game, but they are definitely looking for like, where can we squeeze more money out? And so they, I guess the, kind of context for people who haven't been following it super closely, Jagex sent out a survey to basically be like, which of these, with all these different options for membership plans, like potential membership plans, it was basically like, which one of these is the least repulsive to you? And pretty predictably, everybody lost their goddamn mind. And yeah, I was reporting live the other day in Discord from the Falador riots. It was a mess over there. But
you were literally, dude, that's sketchy. I wouldn't have gone there.
It was fun. I was mostly just looking for funny usernames, I was looking for any content creators or streamers or anything. I didn't see anybody that I knew. But yeah, it was.
So you got the inside scoop.
Everybody had their cannon out. Everybody had Retribution on. My wife came home from work and I was like, "Hey, come look at this." I was like, "The game's on fire right now."
Wait, your wife? No, wait. Oh, your wife? No, sorry, I'm getting timelines mixed up. Go on.
Oh yeah, sorry. She was coming home from. She was having a baby, or no, she's having a baby now. I don't know.
She's been in labor for like 4 days.
Yeah,
that's insane.
Yeah, and I haven't been there for a second of it. No, but yeah, so everybody's been freaking out, and then it's funny how fast the internet moves, because like I was at work and I was on my phone at work and everybody was talking about it, and I started, I saw these people freaking out, and by the time I got home to actually look at the stuff for myself, they had already posted kind of their apology kind of thing the same day. And the way they do that with any of their updates, if they change anything, the patches or any kind of addendum, they put it first. So that was the first thing I read. And so my first like actual impression of it was them saying, "Oh no, we're not actually doing any of this." And so then it was very much like, "Wait, what's going on? Why are people mad about this? They just said they weren't going to do this." But yeah, I mean, so it's been a very interesting kind of, ignoring the like actual like Reddit and the riots of it all, like, people who are level-headed about it, talking with them, it is very interesting as the different sides of it. And I've found myself landing a lot more sympathetic towards Jagex in this situation than the majority of people. And I think a lot of that has to do with just a general sense of nihilism around the world. As far as like, I guess it's like the least surprising thing ever that, a greedy corporation is trying to get more money out of something. So I wasn't like, I guess I wasn't as like shocked and appalled. It was kind of like, well, yeah, this is what we expected. But that all, I'm still firmly in the camp of like, I'll drop this game like a bad habit if it comes to that. Like if this stuff actually came into the game, it's like, nope, RuneScape's done. They fucked up. I did it once with RS3. I'll do it again. I'll be here for old school RuneScape. But this is all, a proposal, I guess. But
people are worried that the fact that Jagex is even thinking of this is like, it feels inevitable that I guess the game, how we know it today, is going to like fundamentally change. I think that's what people are worried about. It's going to become like RuneScape 3, where it has like this it's grossly monetized in so many different ways that it just feels, it just feels like predatory. And you're like, I shouldn't be able, like they make it, they're really trying to pressure you into like paying like $80 a month. Just, you know what I mean? Just to play on this one.
Yeah.
So anyways, kind of what happened was Jagex brought out this survey and it only went to like random people. Not everybody got this survey because I didn't see it, but these people would take screenshots of what this survey was and shared it on Reddit. And it made a lot of people worried because, I mean, Trey, yeah, you already said it. Like Jagex is very much like pressured from these investors. I don't know how this world works, but the money people who, the people who only care about the money, they don't give a shit about RuneScape. They just care about money coming from Jagex. And by the way, you talked about the Carlisle group pumping and dumping. They fucking sucked at it because I invested some money into them and it went down. I just lost my money. But like, so yeah, they suck. But yeah, people are worried that these money men are going to influence it. And I'm losing my train of thought. I'm all worked up and
frazzled. You're frazzled.
I'm all hot and bothered by this.
You've been awake for 4 days straight.
That's right. But what they kind of pitched was what we're seeing with a lot of different streaming services and different like subscriptions. Like a lot of like streaming services are doing this where they have all these different tiers of membership. With RuneScape, we have this one tier of membership for the most part. Like you have this one tier. It's just broken up in different, you can pay every 3 months or every year or once a month. But besides that, it's the same membership. But yeah, we know that streaming has kind of moved away from that. There's like all these different tiers now. You have like the cheapest tier, which is like a standard quality with, you get ads that play. It's only on one screen at a time. And then there's like the family package, which costs a little bit more, but multiple people can watch Netflix at once. Then they have like an HD package, which is just one screen, but it's like kind of sits in the middle between the family package and the ad, like the cheapest option. So like they have all these different tiers on streaming services. And Jagex was like, hey, what if we brought that into RuneScape? And that's what this survey was. And it was a lot of like weird things. Trey, let's go through some of these tiers and like how it would exactly work. Because like on paper, some of them aren't terrible options. I could see a world where it's like, yeah, you know what, maybe I'd do this. But a lot of people think this is just the beginning. If you let this through, then suddenly it's opening, what do they call it? The door in the face technique, the foot in the door technique, whatever you want to call it. It's just opening the gates to allowing so much more microtransactions and so much more like monetization strategies being put onto old school RuneScape, which is not what people want.
Mm-hmm.
Trey, I assume you've been using streaming services for a while. Like, how does these multi-tier packages, like, how do you feel about that in the streaming world? Because I friggin' hate it. And I've seen it happen to my like other products that I use, but like,
I
hate it. I remember paying Netflix $7.99 and you had everything. Now that they've grown, I'm paying like $9.99 and I'm getting tons of ads. Like, so personally, I hate it.
Yeah, and then you have Amazon, like Amazon Prime streaming. It's just you keep paying the same price, and then they add ads on top of it. It's like, well, I guess I'll go fuck myself.
Yeah.
I mean it, and I think that, it used to be such a clear delineation, and it still is in a lot of areas where it's like, free with ads or pay for no ads. That's like every mobile game and stuff like that. Where it's, they put so many ads that it's so annoying that you get, just to shut them up, you pay, you pay for it. And it's very, very annoying, and ads are awful. And I mean, I know that there's all kinds of subconscious stuff going on, but I feel like I've never actually bought something because of an ad. It makes me less likely to buy something because, like, it's so annoying to me. Like, I don't know. I've never been at the store and seen like Lysol, and I've been like, oh man, that does pick up dust better. That's what the commercial said.
But at the same time, well, it's hard for me to know how much they influence us, because I'm like, but then again, I can't name a single other disinfectant wipe, or like I only know brand. Lysol wipes.
Yeah,
I don't know the leading brand, so it's like, they stand out. Anyways, advertising is so interesting though, because it is a way for things to be monetized that couldn't be monetized otherwise. All of your favorite RuneScape content creators, all your favorite content creators in general, they have an ad in the middle of their video because that's how they're getting paid. And they wouldn't be able to have a full-time job making the content that you watch. And, the nice thing about YouTube is you can just skip it. Well, sorry, I'm talking about the actual in-video ads, the ones that like play on top of the video. I have premium, so I don't have those. Once again, there it is with YouTube, you either have ads or you pay for it and you don't. It's very clear and simple. But there's stuff like here in, I live in Kansas, and there's a TikTok account, RIP. This is the day TikTok is gone when we're recording this. But I guess I'll say he's probably on Instagram now. This guy, he mows lawns, and he basically goes to these people who have these overgrown lawns, and he does it for free. Yeah. And he does this. I love those videos.
Yeah, he's from my city.
Oh no way! There's a few of them, and like I watch people just like clean rugs. That's all they use. They just clean a rug, or they'll pressure wash someone's driveway. It's the best.
And so, and none of that stuff can exist without like advertising, because that's the only way those people make money. And I'm not trying to justify it or like advertising in general, because it's fucking annoying. But
it's everywhere. Have you seen I saw this post earlier this morning. Hulu has an ad where you have to answer a question.
I saw that too. Yeah.
And it's like, how many seats does Alexis have? And you have to push left or right. And I'm not sure what happens if you get it wrong. You have to watch the ad again, maybe. That's weird. And I remember Sony patented all these design ideas where an ad would play, and the only way to skip it would be by saying the brand's name. So you'd be like,
oh my,
like Jagex, in order to skip the RuneScape ad or something.
Oh hell, Jagex.
Say it
hell, Jagex. Yeah. Oh, there we go. Yeah, it like speeds it up like 2 times every time you say it.
Yeah. Anyways, we are focusing on ads, but there's these ad tiers that are cheaper and you get ads, but rightfully so, because one of the membership tiers is a reduced fee that has ads included, which there's a lot of different ways you can think of that. What the hell is ads included in RuneScape? Is that a banner that plays that is at the top? Is there going to be are there going to be pop-up ads that, like, before I open my Barrows chest, I have to watch an ad first? That's a little bit more silly, but I mean,
no, the ad proposal out of everything that's happened, has been the most meme worthy. And there's been a plethora of very funny memes about times when ads play. But yeah, it is. I mean, it's awful. Like the idea of ads in RuneScape is just objectively awful. It's once again, and I think this is going to be kind of my thing I'm going back to. It is the least surprising thing in the world. But it is. That's just how things are done these days. Like we were just saying, that's how every other platform does it. But yeah, how that would actually functionally work is like horrifying to think about, because it would be awful. And I don't know. Yeah, it would have to be in browser, like in the game, because if it was just, kind of like back in the day, you had the thing at the top of the screen, like a banner outside the actual launcher, my ad blocker would just take care of that anyway. So there would be something integrated into the game, which is just, that's horrifying to think about.
It's weird. Yeah, it's a weird one, but they have something that's like, you can have multiple accounts within like one membership. So let's say the example here is you pay $17.49 per month for your account, but then it's an additional $13.99 per member per character that's like added to your account. So it's basically like you pay one membership fee for one character, and then any other ones that you want to attach to your account has like a reduced cost. These prices are kind of strange because they are still quite expensive, but I think a lot of us would be okay. Obviously, a lot of us play with multiple accounts. I don't think any of us are really complaining about having multiple accounts tied into your one subscription. So that's one of the ones that seem a little bit more like, okay, yeah, I'd be okay with that. But now how about this? What if you add a complimentary bond to your membership? That's one of the ideas they pitch. You can get a complimentary bond with your membership. So basically someone who's brand new to the game, or maybe someone who's like, just playing a regular account, you get gifted 10 mil every single month, for having this type of membership.
All right, Dills, I'm going to blow your mind.
Yeah. Okay. Let's hear it.
Okay. So complimentary bond so if you buy a membership with a bit of an increased price and it comes with a complimentary bond, that bond's not complimentary. You're still buying it. That's that.
I don't
that's
work
that.
out the math. This is what they said. They called it a complimentary bond.
That's that advertising speak. That's corporate speak. Oh yeah, it's free for more money.
It's like when you go to a motel and they've got like a complimentary breakfast, but the breakfast is really just like these like 3-month-old apples that are just sitting out there like super squishy, and they have like little boxes of cereal with no milk. Strange. They'll have, this is one that people actually got kind of pissed off with, but you could pay, let's say you pay $30 a month. These prices are a little bit arbitrary because they're kind of just like mixing and matching all of these stupid little perks. So the prices are kind of like weird, but like imagine you could pay a more expensive membership cost, but you get enhanced player support. Now, a lot of people are like, shouldn't we just be getting player support as it is? Like, why am I having to pay more? So that now you're really creating like a tiered system where you're like, these people who are paying more are going to be getting like their requests and their needs met a little bit more by customer support, which I don't even know what that means. Enhanced player support. Do they have like a chat GPT model that will prioritize your messages over someone who's paying a cheaper cost? Like, I don't really get it.
So, okay.
Yes. Yep.
The enhanced player support is a very interesting one. And I think there's a few other things tied in with that subject. There was one that was like pre-verification of accounts. So basically like you do all the work ahead of time so that if your account does get hacked, you've already like verified yourself. So you'll get put right at the top of it's like getting a blue check mark on Twitter where it's like, okay, they'll check the verified accounts first because those are, whatever. And I mean, there was something like even as far as like sending your ID into Jagex so they can verify you.
Yeah, Blizzard does that. I remember having to send over pictures of my driver's license when I would lose my password or something.
Yeah, which is, it's interesting because then it separates you from the bots, because I'm assuming every bot that's banned, they probably have some program that automatically sends in, a player support ticket just in case that gets unbanned or, so there's all kinds of, there's all kinds of chaff in the the pool of the people who are wanting, the actual voices of people who trying to get that got, screwed over and all that kind of stuff. So this is where I've kind of at odds with the community though. Cause like, obviously that sounds awful because so many things and, all of these things they're pitching, people are mad also because it's like, oh, so you know how to solve the problem and you have a strategy in place and you're just not doing it.
Yeah.
But I do think, it really comes down to, I don't know, it almost comes down to how cynical you are about this because like, is there any legitimacy to Jagex saying that they need more money to do these things? Because if that's true, because I don't think it's fair for people to say, I want more player support. I want them to hire twice as many people because those people need to be paid. And if you say, I want them to hire twice as many people for their player support team, but I expect my price to not go up, I think that's an unfair expectation. So it does turn into a question of how cynical you're looking at it as, is this price increase for a better Jagex team, or is it only to hire, a pilot for the CEO's private jet? And
yeah. And I mean, okay, it's been a bit of a racket on social media. At first, I'm like, oh my God, I got my pitchforks out. I'm pissed. And then people are getting so angry that I'm like, is there like a group that's like, angry, but they're also not like calling for the destruction and the like dissolving Jagex? Like there's a lot of posts the past couple of days of people being like, the CEO needs to step down or they need to give us the price that we have now, plus I want to be able to add multiple accounts to my thing. And I want enhanced player support. And it's like, I mean, me too.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. That's never going to happen because why would they no business is going to do like a net negative to themselves because, oh man, we have to make it up for the community. They don't give a shit. If they really wanted to, the CEO, okay, so we're getting a little ahead of ourselves, but the CEO did put out an apology basically and like clearing things up and saying that they're backpedaling stuff. But guess what? He didn't have to do it. He could have said, fuck you guys. We're going to go ahead and increase the cost of everything and y'all can suck it because that's what they're doing to RuneScape 3. So it's like they definitely could do it. They're just trying to like figure out what's the best way of squeezing out all the money. Can we can we lead them on for a little bit longer before doing it, or do we just rip the Band-Aid off now and double up membership and add ads and all that sort of stuff? So yeah, anyways, people are being a little, I forget how we got there, but people are being a little bit crazy with it.
Yeah.
But
Sure.
Anyways, but it's a huge mix of these different perks they're adding to these tiers. We're going to call them perks, but here's another one that's a little bit more egregious, that's a little bit more worrying. Because again, some of these aren't bad, like enhanced player support. Like, great, we would all love enhanced player support. We don't agree with this is how we get it, but we're fine with it. But some of these other ideas have people being like, yo, why are you even toying with it? And so this next one is shorter AFK times. So I assume that they're saying it in a way of like, if you're paying, let's say you're paying the more premium membership, you get your 25 minutes of AFK time. So you can woodcut whatever, but maybe the shorter AFK time is reverted back to its original, which is 5 minutes. That suddenly becomes like your account is disadvantaged because you're not paying an extra couple bucks a month or however much it is. So anyway, people were pissed about this one. Trey, overreacting, underreacting, rightfully reacting. Where do you stand on this one?
So I think that this is the most egregious of all of them. Because this is like, this is the most, like this is the absolute number one worst way of them like a paid benefit or a tier or whatever. What all these things we're talking about, this is the absolute worst of them. Is something that not only is it's not a cosmetic thing. It's not even buying gold. It's literally changing the way the game works. Like, I mean, yeah, this is, of all of the options, this is by far the worst because it's like, it's like that's where you get really into the slippery slope argument. Like, what are bosses going to have reduced hit points and stuff? Like, is it just going to be easy mode or something?
if I could play devil's advocate, they're not saying like you can pay more money for a longer AFK time. They're saying you can pay less money for a shorter AFK time. So what if I'm someone who can only play RuneScape in like 5-minute bursts? I don't need 25 minutes of AFK. Is it really that bad if I'm like, I'll pay $4 or a couple dollars less to have less AFK because that doesn't affect me?
Yeah, it's
like
it's very, I don't know. It's just so it's by far the scariest one.
I agree. I think it's a slippery slope too. It starts allowing you to like, if your account has all of these dials of like, okay, what if you can like turn off auto retaliate to save a few more? You know what I mean? Like now that becomes a way you can turn it. Well, I don't have access to auto retaliate anymore. And what if you don't have access to making all of stuff? And you're like, okay, I can. You know what I mean? Like obviously, but you could really. Like why not? Why can't we have all these switches that reduce and change the cost of my membership, but takes away features from my account? It's a weird way to look at it. Yeah,
it's like on the kind of like board of what I would and like what isn't allowable in my mind. That is at the absolute bottom is at in-game like mechanical changes to the game, even though. Like you're saying, that is, and don't get me wrong, I get that that's a big part of kind of how they want this to be perceived is like, oh, your membership isn't going to change at all. This is only for you pay less money. It's for less features. And I do think to kind of bridge over to another one, I thought the one that was the most interesting to me was reduced membership costs for mobile only.
So let's talk about that one. That was another one where like you can only play the game on mobile for a reduced cost.
Which I thought
we know there are some people who only play on mobile.
Yes, yeah, we have someone in our clan who's mobile only, and they have an Inferno cape. They have basically every in-game item only on mobile, and they've only ever played on mobile. And there's multiple people in our clan that are mobile only. I guess it's just. It feels so artificial to me, the idea of like, it's so arbitrary, right? Like it doesn't cost them any more money that person would play on mobile or on PC. So it's not like that argument I was saying earlier about how like, oh, if you want them to hire more people, then it's going to cost more money. This one feels so manufactured as far as like, yeah, we have an option to take something away that doesn't cost us any more money just to, charge you less money, but it's still like, it feels so much worse than other options that would be like giving you a benefit. I think we talked about in game design, we've talked with all of the project rebalance. It feels better to bring something up. Sorry, let me say this in the right way.
Come in hot, tune it back.
No, it feels better.
No.
Well,
the other way around.
I think that, and Jagex has been doing this with their updates. It feels better to buff something afterwards than to come in too hot and have to nerf it. And so it's kind of that same principle with this. Like it feels better to maybe charge more money for more benefits than it does to charge less money and take stuff away. And maybe I'm in the minority thinking that way, but like I'm saying, it feels so much more slimy for them to be like, this isn't going to change how much it costs us to produce this product for you, but we're going to still like charge you, we're going to offer to charge you less to have mobile only.
And it kind of feels like by saying that, like we only offer you stripped away features for reduced price, you're saying, so what you're giving us is the best that we can get. Like if you're going to change these tiers, I think telling us that, hey, we can make, well, now this is a slippery slope for the other side of things where it's like, hey, yeah, we'll give you more features at a higher cost. So maybe, I can't think of an example right now. Oh, enhanced player support. Whatever it is. Well, your account can have like these premium features if you just pay more money. But then people will say, "Well, you should just be giving us this."
Yeah.
So, anyways, I totally get what you're saying. Now, here's another one. This one is, Well, anyways, it's a weird one. I want to hear what you think about it though. Mm-hmm. So it's the enhanced display name features. So if you don't know what that means, a lot of games already do this, to be honest. It's things like titles and having your name, everyone's name in the game is just a white text for me. So they might have different symbols depending if they're an Iron Man or if they're playing leagues or if they're what their rank is and in the clan. But in RuneScape 3, you can get these titles, but you can also change the color of your actual displayed name. So some people will have someone shared this on Reddit, but someone's name was Dark Knight was the title and it was all red. And then Dark Knight was the title. And then it said, Rises or something like that was the guy's name, Rises. So it was like Dark Knight Rises from the Batman series, but, Rises was all in black. So that was the character's name, but it was all in black text. And it looked kind of cool. It looked kind of badass. But the idea is, how you can apply like flash or wave to like your messages you send into the game? What if you could have your name always looking like that? So somebody hovers over your name and it's just flashing with different rainbow colors on your name. So that's what the enhanced display name features are. So it's not actually changing the game, but it would change the way people saw you in the game, or at least saw your name displayed. So a lot of people didn't like this, but what do you think? Overreacted, rightfully reacted, underreacted? How have people take this one?
Well, part of me wants to say everything is overreacting, but I think this one more than anything is just, it's not like evil. It's not slimy. I think it's just stupid. Because if you have a special thing on your name that you paid to get, you're going to get bullied into oblivion because all that says is, oh, I paid money. Like, it's just basically outing yourself as like, yeah, I have a disposable income. I can pay to have my name look a little cooler. There's no like prestige to it. It would basically be like, if you were able to, like, if somehow it was able to track your Inferno cape, that if you bought it, it would like have like a different tint to it or something. So everybody would know, like, I didn't actually earn my Inferno cape, and those people would get bullied into oblivion, because like everybody knows. So I don't think that that's a good idea, because I don't think anybody would go for it for that exact reason. Like, as cool as it is and as cool as it could be, there's, RuneScape is so much about flexing. It's so much about prestige that if you didn't earn it, nobody's going to care, and nobody's going to want it, because they're going to, every time you see somebody, they're going to be getting made fun of in the same way that it's like the standard now is you have to have like 5 Zuck KC for people to think, you actually got your cape, kind of a thing.
That's what people say that.
It used to be 2, and now the meme is like, oh, well, people are buying 2 capes. So yeah, I think that's a terrible idea, because I just don't think anybody would go for it. Trey,
I want to know where you're going in game. Where I just picture you walking around and just constantly seeing like people getting bullied by a group of like people all decked out, like, or people maybe like level 126 is going to free to play worlds, and they're just like, "How's it going, Rooney?" Nice rune armor, you fucking loser.
Hey, I can answer that very easily. I've been at Tob.
Oh God, yeah, okay, true.
Yep, that's where all the bullying happens. Yeah,
you've been tobbing. That explains everything. I do agree with you. I think when you pay for it, it's different. I actually do kind of like titles in MMORPGs. Destiny 2 has it, and I freaking love. I don't even have a friggin' title in that game, but it actually gives me a goal to work towards it. And like World of Warcraft, when I played, I loved going for the titles in that game. So I do like it as a concept, but again, both of those examples, you have to work towards it. So I think that it does come from prestige. When you're called like the champion, Dill's the champion, or whatever it is, you're like, fuck yeah, I am. I killed like 6 dragons. Of course I am. I am literally the champion.
Yeah, and to be just to make sure I'm being clear with what I'm saying, I also think that's super cool. And we've been saying a lot on the on this pod, like the way to add, like, I think it's like the kind of the blood tour of it all, like adding cosmetics for in-game achievements allows them to have super hard challenges without like absolutely power creep and the economy and stuff. And if there was a title that was like, Inferno Master Trey Blob, like, that would be cool, like Zuck Slayer. And but that's the thing. When you just buy it, it might as well just, the title is like Little Rich Boy, whatever. And nobody's going to respect it. So it's completely useless from the perspective of this conversation about membership costs. But on a completely separate conversation, the title thing I think could be really cool. But yeah,
and I should say, like, I don't know. I'm not sure if I would like it in old school RuneScape, but I have to see it pitched. All I'm saying though is that I do like them in other games. So yeah. Okay, let's move on to the next one. This one could be a little bit dicey. Imagine you could pay a higher membership subscription and you got access to specialized worlds. You had your own, VIP worlds that you could access by paying an extra $5 a month, let's say.
Is this separate from the Project Xanaris stuff?
Yeah. So this would be, you could log on to your Iron and go into this like, it's maybe they call it like the $5 premium worlds that you're paying extra money, and now you get access to these worlds that are locked off from anyone who isn't paying that fee.
Ooh, that is interesting. I hadn't heard that one actually. That's so. I mean, my question I think is very telling. It's because like it is kind of overlapping with what we're saying is coming soon with this Project Xanaris. So it's like, well, aren't we getting that anyways? Like, I'm assuming part of Project Xanaris is you could just have a complete clone world where nothing has changed, but you're solo. But okay, so I'll say that I would actually be fine with that from a conceptual standpoint, for the sake of like that is, once again, we want to measure these things. All of this has to be couched in the idea that, I want membership to be free for everybody in the same way that I want everybody to have 3 square meals a day and sleep in a warm bed every night. Like, obviously that's the utopia we all want in this world, but we're trying to be realistic. So if any of this stuff had to come into the game, something like that, would be like, it's all based in what's the least impactful to the game itself and to the player base. And that one, it's like, you want to pay some money and go off on your own? Like, that's great. Now,
what about areas like the wilderness or things that are like balanced because of the interaction with other people that you could have?
I mean, go get your Void Waker. You're not going to have anybody to give it to. So I mean, unless the idea is that you have your private worlds and then you can go into the main game with that account. Is that what they're...
Oh, yeah. That's what I was thinking. Like, you could just swap over to your world, do some wildy content, or do something
terrible,
and swap
then.
back. Okay.
No, absolutely not.
That's interesting. That's you're basically pitching. Imagine they sold old school RuneScape as a offline game. You had to start all over again, but it's like an offline game that you basically are playing your own private server. That's not, that's an interesting idea.
Which is why
it's almost, like, imagine, that's not a bad idea. If Jagex was like, hey, for $60, you could buy old school RuneScape. You get all the updates that come out, but whenever you play, you'll only be able to play it by yourself, but you have it for life. So if we ever fuck the game up, you'll always own it, and you can always just play it by yourself if you really needed to play old school RuneScape.
Or what they could do is a little more like a World of Warcraft thing, where they say everything you just said. It's for $60 you buy the game, and it'll be like offline downloaded, and then every 6 months you can pay for a packet of all the updates we've had for the past 6 months. The expansions, kind of like World of Warcraft. Oh, wow.
You customize your shit. You're like, you know what? I'm going to buy up to the expansions up until 2027, because that's when they really fucked the game. They tried EOC again for some reason. I'm not going to buy those expansions. I'm just going to buy these older ones. That's not a bad idea. Yeah, gosh. You should. Can you patent it? How can you make it so Jagex can't take that idea without paying you first?
It is, I do want to say, like, this is a good, like, all of this conversation. It's a good thing to remember. Like, invest in physical media, like, for an example, we've been watching Star Wars in Discord. And my VHS that I have of Star Wars does not have the like repulsive changes that were added to it. And they can never be changed. But they're able with technology to go on and basically rewrite history and present something that doesn't exist. And, I'm just, I'm sitting in my office right now. I'm looking at my closet of board games and my bookshelf of books, and nothing that any greedy corporate person does can change how much those are costing me, or, I have those forever now. And so, it's just something to think about. And, the digital age is more convenient, but, maybe think about what physical media can do as far as, what it means to you. We've been watching,
It's true.
Me and my wife have been watching the X-Men movies recently. We've been going through them on Disney Plus, and God, on streaming, the quality is so bad. And I feel like it's just gotten worse. I feel like we're watching these in like 360p, and it's like, back in the day, if I'd gone to Blockbuster, that's a bad example because Blockbuster wasn't around when like Blu-rays and stuff existed. But like if like a Redbox or something, like if I got a Blu-ray from Redbox, that I would spend $2 to $3 or whatever it was, and I'd get a Blu-ray, and that was going to be consistent quality from that that format. I'm sorry, that's just a whole tangent, but
I know, I get what you mean. So I moved out east. So I used to live in Ontario in Canada here, and I ended up moving out east to New Brunswick a few years ago because just cost of living in Ontario is very high. Housing was very expensive. So, anyways, when we were making that move, I sold off like so much stuff that I didn't think I needed anymore. I really tried to downsize as much as possible. And I went through a period where I was like kind of collecting. I was collecting like a catalog of shows and movies of physical, DVDs. And I had a bunch of shows, like all these different shows that I watched. I had all of it. And I was like, you know what? I don't even have a DVD player. When's the last time I watched any of these? I'm just going to get rid of all of them for the most part. And I'm just going to sell them. And I sold them pretty cheap too. But, one of the ones I sold was that 70s show, which is one of my favorite shows. It's a very comfort show of mine. I used to watch it when I was much younger too, but it's just, I really like that show. So I had all the DVDs, but it was on Netflix at the time. So I sold it, and then they pulled it off Netflix. And now it's not been on any single streaming service that is available in Canada, at least. And I don't have the DVDs anymore because I sold them. And I do think about it every couple of months or so. Then I'm like, fuck, man, I wish I kept those DVDs because they just removed it. And really the only way I can watch it is by buying the box set again or pirating that show, because I can't watch it any other ways. And I'm not spending, $5 per episode or whatever crazy price it can be when you're paying for it on the.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, there's don't go all digital for stuff. Although, you know what? I don't know. I'm so back and forth because I moved over to like my Kindle and e-reader over physical books, and I hated it at first, but now I love it. Oh my God. It's just so much more convenient, and I don't need to worry about buying a bookshelf for all my books. That shit's heavy and expensive, but, anywho, yeah. So honestly, we went through all the different membership pricings, but the only one that we actually haven't mentioned yet is, so there's 40 or 44 options of these memberships tiers, and they all have different, like a different combination of perks, right? Some of them have like multiple members accounts. Some of them have ads included. Some of them will have enhanced player support, enhanced player security, the world's complimentary bonds. There's 44 options of mix and matching a bunch of those things. But on top of that, there are a bunch of options that are right now, when we pay membership, we get both old school RuneScape and RuneScape 3. So add into the mix that a lot of these are going to have, you get old school RuneScape and RuneScape 3, and some of them are old school RuneScape or RuneScape 3. So they're playing with the idea of you no longer having access to both games, which honestly, I don't think a lot of people care that much about, because I don't think a lot of us are actively playing RuneScape 3 and old school RuneScape on the same account. Remember, we can't log in on both of them at the same time.
Or playing RuneScape 3 at all. I mean, that part's annoying because it feels like they're adding onto the cost for a feature that nobody's ever going to use. I mean, I know that RuneScape 3 has a community and God bless them. But for the majority, and obviously the people who are listening to this podcast, it's like most people are like, that's just, I mean, yeah, if you want to have a membership tier, take out the RuneScape 3 part of it and then lower my cost, I'll take that. But
yeah, the one that does make sense for is when you have multiple accounts linked to your one subscription. I could see there, because like for me, I have my RuneScape 3 characters that are on different accounts. So if I do play it, it's usually because I'm playing old school RuneScape on another account, doing something else. So yeah, all of these, the monetization stuff is very controversial, very polarizing, I was going to say, but no, people just hate it. It's not really even polarizing. People just hate it. So it got a lot of backlash. So again, this was in a survey and they said, what do you think of these options? And then they also said, like, would you also just would you stop? Or like the other option that you can choose in the survey is I would stop paying for RuneScape. So that was an option. And this was just to kind of see what our appetite is. And people were very, very upset. So lots of cannons in Falador, as you mentioned earlier. And eventually Jagex, the CEO, I'm gonna pull up his name here. The CEO of Jagex,
Mod Pip,
came out with, Mod Pip, is that it? Yeah, he came out with an explanation, and basically it was just like a whole lot of fluff to say, you know what, maybe it wasn't the best tactic. They partnered up with a research company, so they were put out the survey to kind of get some feedback and to consolidate, I guess, some data and information about this sort of stuff. They said they aren't, they're not going to have any plans of doing this. They said they have no plans of doing this stuff. So basically what they said was, we're not going to do this. We're sorry. We didn't expect the backlash, but they said it in a very corporate way that was very much like, we don't plan to do it right now. We are very sorry how you guys felt about the backlash. Next time we'll take that more into account. So a lot of things that you're like, sounds good, but also they're not straight up saying they're never going to do it again. They're just saying, whoopsie, basically. Although one thing they did said is they are going to consider the idea of adding ads into free to play as a concept in the future. So like little things like that kind of came through this apology as well, where it's like, we're not going to do this. We might still add ads into free to play. We might consider that. So a lot of people are still kind of annoyed at it. People, I mentioned this earlier, but a lot of people are like, Mod Pip needs to step down, and it's
off
like,
with his head.
okay, yeah, okay, listen, I love the enthusiasm. Like, come on, we all know that's not going to happen, because he could so easily just be like, I'm not going to go on the 2007 Scape subreddit. Like, he could just be like, listen, I'm just going to go count my money. I'm going to go hang out with my family or whatever. And, I don't know, do some blow off some hooker's ass or something. I don't know what CEOs do in their free time, but it's probably clearly not sitting on Reddit.
And it's also important to remember that the number 2 of Jagex mod, whatever the number 2 mod is just as bad. If Mod Pip steps down, it's going to be the same guy as a clone. It's these, we're talking about corporate suits here. They're all the same. They're all, lizard people drinking baby blood, all that kind of stuff. So I don't, the CEO steps down. It's just going to be the exact same person who's going to take his place. So I don't see the point in that.
I don't fully understand. I don't know this world of business very well. I'm just a grunt in the very lowest ranks of companies, doing the physical labor basically. But so how do you, like, I don't know how familiar you are, but like a CEO, how does a CEO become a CEO of a company? Like, are they voted in? Is there somebody that hires them in? Like, how does that work? Do you know?
I think that they are. My understanding is, they're kind of maybe like appointed by their shareholders. That's the one they're the most.
Like the investors are the ones that are like, okay, so this is what I was thinking about then. So this is the big dilemma is like, I hate everything that I saw with the membership stuff. There are some things that I hated less than others, and even some that I might be a more open-minded towards. But the idea of it, like, I fully share the outrage where, like, oh my God, they're actually like putting this in her face, because my worry is like, okay, it's going to happen. They clearly know it needs to happen. They want it to happen. They're just trying to like figure out what's the best way of doing it. And Mod Pip, I don't know Mod Pip so well, and I don't want to come off as someone who's like, those people that are like really, they're like, you make like 40K a year, but you're like in love with billionaires, and you're like, you know those type of people I'm talking about, like, and they're like super like, we shouldn't tax billionaires because they don't deserve it, but they make like 40K a year. So like, I don't want to come off as someone
waters. Go on.
Anyways, I don't want to come off as someone like that with the CEO, but at the same time, like, couldn't the investors be like, well, we want to make this change happen. Let's fire Mod Pip, and we're just going to bring in some dude who doesn't give a shit. This guy they call him the Terminator because he doesn't care what communities think. We're going to bring him in. He's going to put in these membership costs. People will be upset, but he's there to take it. That's what he's paid for. Like, could that happen? And then they just like completely milk us for these like membership tiers that are like way worse. But like, could they replace Mod Pip with someone who's like, yeah, I'm the best one for the job because I literally don't give a fuck what these RuneScape players think.
Yeah, because what the investors are going to see, like kind of what you're saying with like the CEO and stuff, they're going to see this person failed to make us more money. We're going to bring in somebody who's proven that they are cutthroat and good at business, which remember, whenever somebody says good at business, that means bad for consumers because
yeah.
Then you
get friggin' Mod Jed coming up, and he's like the new CEO. We're like,
they're like, he had some good ideas. Let's bring him back. Yeah, and you get the person who's like, you get this new CEO whose first thing is like, well, let's look at what's extraneous. Mod Ash, all he does is he's on Twitter all day. Let's get rid of him. They have no concept of the community or the culture or anything, and they just see it as something. They cut out every single. They're like, oh, we don't need player support. They get rid of the entire player support branch. I mean, it could get way worse. And it probably will. But it's, so replacing the CEO is, we're almost making an argument that it's more dangerous than helpful because you never know.
And then we're sitting here and so we're basically saying like what we have right now is a best case scenario, which is like an awful, it's kind of like a scary thing. Cause again, Jagex, you take away RuneScape from me, you fucking ruin my life. Right. Like it's what they've done to my life is irresponsible, and irrevocable. I don't know. It's a bunch of like blank words. You can put a bunch there. But then like, okay, so it brings us to the question though. So yeah, we're outraged. We want Mod Pip to step down and to leave the UK. We want to like put him into exile. Okay, so that all happens. Yeah, sure. And then and they say, you know what? The investors go, you know what? The community is right. And we're going to make the community the CEO. Reddit, you are now in charge of the CEO businesses. So, now it's your turn to figure out how to make more money. Do you want to talk about that now or should we should we talk about that later?
Oh yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So we know that they have to bring in more money.
Yeah, and I think
how do they do that?
Once again, I think
we're the best people to be talking about this. By the way, like we're the most experienced in this type of these discussions and topics. So
yeah, we've shown our prowess for business knowledge in this podcast already. So I do want to. So I think to answer this question, one important thing is like once again to clarify. Let's look at this from a best case scenario of saying like let's just hypothetically, and it's probably not true, but let's just say for the sake of argument that we're proposing and all of this in the context that this is money that Jagex actually needs to run the game better and not just fuel for the private jets. Because obviously, if it's like I don't think membership price should go up at all because it's just fuel for the private jets. It's like, yeah, that's fine, but it's just that it is what it is.
The fact of the matter is they need fuel for their private jets. Yeah, they're going to take it from us somehow. So
prices are going to go up. If I know this is a big ask of RuneScape players, but if you've gone outside in the past few years, the price of everything else in the world has gone up. So it's just it's just the world we live in. But anyway, so yeah, on the subject of what like how we could actually do this. Like, so here is one of my biggest frustrations with this entire situation is my solution to all of this. Like, if Jagex needs more money, then I think just raise the price of membership. Just a normal raise the price of membership like they've done before. And yeah, it's only been 6 months since they did that last, and people rioted. And that was my first thought when all of that went down. Well, they raised the price of membership and people were rioting like they're rioting now and quitting the game because the price went up. And I thought, like, okay, if you're not going to let them just raise the price, they're going to find other ways of getting money. And now we're in this situation because this is their way. They said, oh, we're not raising the price of membership. We're offering lower tiers of membership for less money. And there's this whole complex thing when the simplest option was just to raise the price, just like everything else in the world. Everything's raising the price. And, once again, like Netflix or something, they got a ton of backlash for raising their prices. So now it's like, oh, well, the old price is with ads and the new price without ads is higher. And it gets all complicated and stuff. So...
Well, let's pause on that thought for a second, because at what point? Because this is what a lot of people are like. I agree with you, but then there's people that will say, "Well, right now we're paying as much money as World of Warcraft, as Final Fantasy 14, as name your other like top tier MMO that has." To be honest, like probably like more polish, more features than old school RuneScape. It's just the way the game is.
How dare you?
No. It's just, I love this game. It's a different breed, but they've been slowly increasing prices since 2008. So let me just walk through the timeline we have of the price increases, because I agree, just raise the price. But then I'm also asking myself, at what point do I go, I don't know if it's worth it. I'm already at the point where I'm saying it's not worth it for me to pay for 2 accounts anymore. I used to have multiple accounts subscribed. But the fact of the matter, it's $14.99 USD right now per account. I can't pay $30 to play RuneScape. So 2008 is when we had the pricing everybody loves. The reason we played old school RuneScape, the reason we played RuneScape and not World of Warcraft was because it was $5 a month up until 2008. World of Warcraft was always $15. So that was the argument that I always had when I was in high school. So it cost $5. In 2008, they raised the price to $5.95, basically $6. So it went up by $1. And then 4 years later, 2012, they raised it by $2, $7.95. 3 years after that, February 2015, they raised the price to not by $1.50, $9.49 is the total cost per month. Right now, we're already almost doubled what it was back before 2008. Okay, so now we look at 3 years after that, June 2018, it goes up to $10.99, another $1.50. 4 years after that, May 2022, up to $12.49, so up another $1.50, and then it went up another $1.50 2 years after that, just a couple months ago in September 2024, and we're now paying $14 a month. So we're almost triple the price it used to be prior to 2008. Which again, I feel like I get my $14 a month out of it. I'm still happy to pay it. But I definitely I did have to cancel one of my accounts recently because I was like, I can't afford to like idle on an account paying $15 a month. That's crazy. That's a bit too much. But the next thing is, at what point does old school RuneScape become too expensive for me to play entirely? I don't know. So anyways, we've seen it increase. What were your thoughts on that? And that's why a lot of people, I think, are freaking out, because it's like, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. And I guess World of Warcraft isn't really increasing their prices. So we're watching other MMORPGs that are, bigger than old school RuneScape, even if old school RuneScape's in the top 5, and they're able to maintain their price even if they are monetizing in different areas. Okay, yeah, I said all that. Let's hear it.
Well, okay.
Give it to me.
No, yeah. It's like you're going through the history of them raising the prices up, and it's like I could go to the history of the price of bread at the store, and it's probably tripled in price. It is, there's inflation. And once again, all of these problems we're talking about are much larger problems with the rest of the world. And it's just, this is, creeping into our community. And, old school RuneScape has always felt different. I think that's what appeals to it for a lot of us. It's our little safe haven. And to see these like evil corporate greed things creeping into our game is always just so scary. And it's like the orcs coming into the Shire. It's like this was supposed to be our safe place, and the evil from the outside world is creeping in.
The money men are here.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, there's a part of it that it's like, yeah, the price is going to go up. It's everything. The price of everything is going up, and that's just an extremely scary reality of the world. But yeah, I don't know. I guess that's my only kind of rebuttal to that. But I can't say enough that I don't want it to be that way. We keep talking about this, and I feel I'm not like Jagex needs. Like I want the billionaire to have more, fuel in his jet. Like obviously, I hate that too. But it is just kind of the reality of the world we live in. That the suits are going to get their money. I mean, you see it in every industry. Like I work in construction, and we keep getting told like we're doing this casino right now, and we keep getting told money is no object to these people. Like, okay, they just have so much money, and they know that they're going to make it back, so they don't care. That's the only thing they see. The only language they speak is money, and it's very weird that it's just different from how my brain works. But
same, and I know we're talking about like inflation stuff. You know what? Beautiful, magnificent thing has not suffered from inflation. Freaking hot dogs at Costco, $1.50 for a hot dog, and you get a drink with it. Unbelievable, unbelievable. It's beautiful stuff. Okay, so yeah, so maybe raising the cost of membership is one of the best ways to do it, but I think they're starting to feel a little bit of friction there with each increase. I think people are just going, holy fuck again. And it allows, we have such an amazing wiki that if I want to see the membership increases, I go to the Wikipedia page where it shows me all the times the membership cost has gone up. So yeah, you raise the price again, you have people sign, and they get to add yet another little column to that table for us podcasters to discuss on the next recording. So they have to deal with that a little bit. So, okay, let's move on from membership pricing though, because
sorry, can
yes.
I'm sorry. I just remembered the other half of my point. Cause you were asking about like how high is too high.
Yep.
So I think that is a very personal decision that everybody has to make, because I think that in everything in your life, you need to just have a concept of value, for your time. Your time is your biggest value, but like, like it's kind of all in context of how much you make. And what I mean by that is, let's say you make $20 an hour. So it's like, is if membership is $20 a month, you make $20 an hour, is 1 hour of work worth it to you for how much time, how much value you get out of old school RuneScape per month?
Mm-hmm.
If you play for 30 minutes every month, then it's probably not worth that to you, because it's, if you play for 4 hours a day, like some people recording a podcast right now, then that's, I mean, you're getting so much more value out of that than you are from, you could spend $60 just to go see a movie that lasts an hour and a half at the movie theater, or, going out to a nice restaurant. And so is that value worth it to you? And that number and that line is going to be different from everybody else. And there's, so for people, like obviously the people who play this game have a maxed account and are on a podcast about it, are going to put a lot more value into this game and be willing to spend a lot more, because they're getting their money's worth. It's, but for the kind of more casual player, the higher, they're going to hit a limit where, if 3 months, like, okay, so let's say it's $20 a month for membership. And so after 3 months, you hit $60. So is 3 months of RuneScape worth more or less to you than whatever some AAA game that you can buy for $60? You know, Dark Souls for, well, I guess it's $70. But you know, let's just say, so when Dark Souls 4 comes out, this isn't even a game that's been announced or anything. It's just, I don't know why it's at the top of my head. But are you going to get 3 months of enjoyment out of that game to be worth more to you than old school RuneScape or not? You know, and that just goes on a person by person basis. And so all of their pricing decisions is, you know, it's a very meta thing of like, okay, what price is appealing? You know, how high can we go to where the most people hit their limit, you know? But I just think maybe more of a general life thing is just to think about, you know, I keep talking about board games, but like, if I buy this board game that's $150 for the super deluxe edition, and I'm only going to get to play it once per year because of the people who I play games with, is that worth it to me? Versus, you know, some game I buy at Walmart for $20 that I can pop out at every family function because it's super simple and everybody has a great time with it. So you just really got
sometimes you need that expensive. I play it. I get an hour fun of it for a year because it feels a bit more refined. I'm joking a little bit, but actually I heard this thing on a podcast and I thought it was like super interesting. It was it's one of those interview based shows. It was just this like really, I don't know, popular, really successful fashion designer. They were just talking about fashion. It was very interesting. And it was this person who like designs it, like the outfits for a lot of celebrities. They'll go to like a concert or do a tour. And then this guy was the one that like designs Lady Gaga's outfit for this tour she did. And he designs clothes as well. Like that's his main thing. But he was talking about like, you know, sometimes you look at clothes and it's like rich people clothes, it's like $5,000 for like a plain white t-shirt. And we're sitting there being like, that's insane. That's crazy. Who the hell would pay? I wouldn't even pay like $20. I won't even pay $20 for that. I better get 5 white t-shirts for $20. It better come in a bag. Yeah. So like, but on the show, it's like sometimes they say like the difference between the t-shirt that's a $5,000 and the t-shirt that's $100, or let's make the gap not as big. Let's say like a $500 t-shirt versus a $50 t-shirt, $75 t-shirt. Sometimes it's literally just the price tag, because the higher price tag will make you feel different when you wear it. So sometimes they have this jacket and they're like, I want to sell. I could easily sell this for $500 and tons of people would buy it, but I'm going to sell it for $2,000 because I want that less people to wear it. And I want those people who do wear it to feel like they're wearing something of luxury, something that like only gets brought out once a year, even though it's literally the exact same, made the exact same as the $500 version. It was really interesting. They're talking about like the psychology of it, of just wearing expensive clothing. And sometimes that's all it is that these rich people know they're wearing a shirt that costs them $10,000 and it makes them feel different in for them a positive way, I guess. But
yeah, no, and I mean, you know, like it is really just it's just a life principle of like, if that actually, like you're saying, like the psychological trick actually makes you like feel good about yourself and feel happy. Like obviously, yeah, we can argue about the psychology of like if that's true happiness, blah blah blah. But like, who are we to judge if whatever that is makes somebody happy? And it's like, that's totally their business. And so like, you know, bringing it back to like RuneScape and stuff, like it's just realize, yeah, like, so I have no judgment. If somebody says that RuneScape is not worth $5 a month to me because I play it for 10 minutes a month, you know, like there's nothing wrong with that. And if somebody says I would pay $60 a month for one account, it's like, I don't personally agree with that, but like, who are we to judge? Like if RuneScape brings more joy to you per month, and maybe if you have to like skip a couple meals, like I wouldn't recommend it, but like that's your business. And so I think that line is just different for everybody. And I don't want to judge anybody's, you know, financial situation or financial decisions, because it's, you know, life is short and you got to try to squeeze as much happiness out of it. And if this game makes you happy, And we live in this society where we don't get to control what the people above us decide. We have to pay for stuff. And it's worth it to you to keep spending whatever they charge just to keep playing this game. Then I don't want to be the one to say that you're wrong for doing that.
Whew.
Sorry. I'm just.
No. That was yeah. I totally get what you're saying. I think the part that gets a little bit tougher is when you start comparing old school RuneScape to other similarly priced or even cheaper priced MMORPGs, and you can say, well, okay, that's all fine and dandy, but I'm paying $60 a month for way less than these other MMORPGs.
Yeah, no, and I think
that's where we get into the outrage, where people are like annoyed, but they're still going to do it. Like, fucking fine, take my money, but I'm going to be pissed about it. God damn it.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. But once again, it's like if old school RuneScape is twice as much as World of Warcraft, but you think old school RuneScape is twice as good of a game, then it's still valuable to you. But if not, then vote with your dollar. And if they see everybody's moving to World of Warcraft, they're going to see that. The only way to get into these people's heads is to show them that prices, and we're seeing people canceling their membership and stuff. And so, like, yeah, if you do think that these things that they're doing are wrong, and you do think that there's better value from other things, then go do those things, and they will see it. And if they respond in a way that that you're hoping for, you can come back and that you're voting with your dollar. But
sometimes it works. Sometimes it works during EOC, and I think that's a lot of it. I think. So I will say, Jagex is definitely the type of community that, like, whew, they you can really put yourself in some hot water with the community, because let's remember, the community is like, we're the same people. I say we. I'm not. I didn't do this, but I'll just say we. We're the same people that quit the game when EOC came out. We'll do it again. I quit when free trade came out, but I would have quit for EOC, I'm sure. Anywho, okay, so membership price increases. Okay, we say, listen, the community is the CEO of Jagex right now. We're all agreeing to raise the price of memberships. That's what we're going to do to stay in business. But then investors come and say, that's fine and dandy, but you got to do a little bit more. What else could they do? Now, we can kind of see a lot of what they could do, because we have RuneScape 3 to compare the game with. And RuneScape 3 is like that meme where it's like a horse, and it's like, not a horse, it's a cow. I hope it's not a horse. Imagine a horse getting milked and it's like super.
Move on.
Okay, so the cow is like super like skinny. It's just bones. It's been milked to death, basically. Or it can be a horse, whatever you want to be into. It's fine. And so that's what's happening to RuneScape 3 right now. And they got so much MTX. So we went through the timeline of the membership price increases. So let's say the boardroom is full of like hundreds of thousands of the community. It stinks, but we're all talking about ways that we can make money. And someone says, let's do microtransactions. And then some people are like, okay, maybe we can. And let's look at how RS3 introduced this into their world. And I made this little timeline, but I'm missing so much of it because there's so many iterations, and oh my God, it's way worse than what we're going to go through. So the first time microtransactions came into RuneScape was in 2012. This was before EOC, before old school RuneScape. And they came out with this thing called the Squeal of Fortune. And it was literally every day you log in, you had 2 tickets, you could spin a wheel and it landed on something. It could be like an XP lamps. It could be like you can get like actual money and items, and some of them, it was really rare, but you could get some really good stuff. So they came out, and then you could also buy the tickets to spin this Squeal of Fortune. And the price I have here was 10 spins for $5. So about what is it? That's 50 cents per spin. Something like that. That's the idea of it. And honestly, man, did you play when this came out?
Yeah.
Did you have any thoughts when it came out?
2012 is definitely that period of RuneScape where everything was just changing so drastically that it just didn't feel like RuneScape anymore. But I think I was definitely in the camp, and this is how I am with any of like those predatory mobile games where they give you a couple spins and then it's pay for more of them. I always just do the free version of it. Like I'll take my 2 spins a day and then go on with my day. I don't have the unfortunate like gambling addiction gene that a lot of people do. So yeah, in my brain, it's totally fine to just do the free version of it and move on. But it's so predatory. I mean,
I do have that little tick in my brain, the gambling addiction. I've never had a problem with gambling, but I definitely could see myself getting influenced or pressured into doing these things because I've always been the type of person. So, back when I had a part-time job all through high school, and I was able to kind of put money aside in my own bank account and stuff. And then when I hit, I think it was like 16, I was able to get this bank card that also acted as a Visa, so I could make purchases online. And I think I was able to do Squeal of Fortune with that. But I was the type of person that would get into these games that had these models where it's like, oh, here's a special deal. You're level 5. Here's your special level 5 deal. You can only claim it in the next 24 hours. I would usually get suckered and I would spend the $10 for that like package. And then I almost always regretted it. So I do remember buying a bunch of spins one time, and I didn't even play RuneScape. I just like came back for Squeal of Fortune. I was like, oh, all right, this looks free experience. All right. Like this is a kind of a new concept. And I also played MapleStory where it was like disgustingly monetized in that way. So I'd seen these sorts of things in other games. So at the time I was like, oh, this isn't terrible. Like this is all right. And I spent money on it, and then you get nothing. Like you spend like what? So let's say I spent $20. Let's say I spent $50 and I didn't get anything that felt worth $50. You just got a bunch of like junk. And I was like, oh, that sucks. That happens to me with a lot of things like Magic the Gathering and like Flesh and Blood when I was playing that. These trading card games, I would never spend like $150 on a box of cards, opening it and being like, well, that wasn't fun. I paid money to do this.
Yeah, it's funny.
Garbage.
I'm getting all up on my high horse about how I'm not a gambling addict, and then I think about all of the Yu-Gi-Oh cards that I would buy.
Yeah,
I mean it's the same thing. Yeah, you're spending money for the chance of getting something good, and you're knowing that you're probably not. And also, before anybody else is probably thinking it, yes, I am a gambling addict because I play RuneScape and you're gambling with your time. Every time you kill a boss, you're gambling that it'll drop the thing you want, and you're not gambling money, you're gambling time, which is arguably is much more valuable. So maybe I'm more of a degenerate than people at the casinos.
So also in 2012, though, so Squeal of Fortune came out in April. Well, by the way, Squeal of Fortune came out on April 2nd. That's like so close to April Fools. You could tell they were like, let's do it on April. They're like, no, we probably should just wait one extra day. Anywho, like 3 months later in July, they came out with Solomon's Store, and they also introduced Rune Coins, which was this new premium currency that you could get by spending money, and you would then spend the Rune Coins in the Solomon's Store, and they would have like cosmetic items basically. And it's since grown into like a lot more cosmetics and all that sort of stuff. So that was in 2012. That was when microtransactions first came out, and definitely felt like the decline of RuneScape 3. Yeah, for the most part. This one, not so much. In September 2013, Bonds came out. We have Bonds in old school RuneScape. This is actually one of the more fair. I'm okay with this microtransaction because it just kind of, I think it's more fair. It like creates this cycle of, you need gold, so you buy a bond. Somebody needs membership, but it doesn't have real life money, so they can buy it with, you know what I mean? Like the exchange is a little bit more natural, I guess. But anyway, so that came out, not as big of a deal, but whatever. But then in 2014, they came out with Treasure Hunter, which replaced Squeal of Fortune. So Squeal of Fortune was this, what do you call it?
Like a slot machine?
Yeah, you like spin this dial and it lands on a prize. Treasure Hunter it had like 5 treasure chests, and you would pick one, and then there'd be items in that one treasure chest. So still the same idea, but I think I didn't see why they made this change. And my guess was that the the dial felt way more like gambling versus opening a treasure chest.
Yeah.
That felt maybe a little bit more fantasy RPG-ish. Anyways, 2 years later, February 2016, Rune Metrics comes out. So this is almost like what we're talking about a little bit. Like these are premium features for your account for an additional $5 a month or something like that. What it did is it was a loot tracker. So on RuneLite, you know, the rune tracker feature, you have that just in the vanilla account. You had XP trackers. It just tracked a whole bunch of stuff that you did. A lot of things that we have with RuneLite, except this was baked into vanilla before RuneLite was the thing. Yet you would pay $5 extra for all of these metrics. I don't know. Is that something that you're like more open to, or do you feel that it doesn't quite fit into like, you know, premium features for, I don't know, but like kind of what we're talking about earlier.
Yeah, this is where this is a subject that gets really scary really fast, because there's been like because they're they're going to be releasing their own API, they're going to have their own plugins, and that in conjunction with what's been all this drama has got people really scared that there's going to come a day where they axe RuneLite, they make it bannable like they've done with other third-party clients. And they say, oh, well, we've got all the same features here. And then, you know, there was a post on Reddit that showed like all of the, you know, plugins, but they replaced install with like $2.99. And so now you're having to pay for each plugin.
Which is, by the way, a very common thing in like the modding world. Like when you go to, if you run your own Discord server, you can bring in bots that are like free to bring in, but all of them, so many of them have like a premium feature where a lot of features are locked. You have to pay for this bot or this plugin or this tool to use these like VIP things. And same thing goes with like, there's the Nexus, which is this platform for downloading mods for a bunch of games. I do it for Skyrim all the time. There's so many that like premium features are hidden behind like a Patreon. Maybe you have to pay for the, you know, for that plugin. So we do see it. I guess it's a little bit different when it's like coming from Jagex. They're the one monetizing or.
Yeah, because like for a third party mod, if it was like I put all this time into this thing. And I made this, you know, if you guys could pay, 99 cents for it, yeah, that's great. But yeah, if it's Jagex and they steal everything that RuneLite has offered and then they monetize all of it, that is, I will never play RuneScape again type of like egregious.
And also, but the crazy thing is, this used to be a thing, and I definitely used to pay for it. Did you ever used to pay for OS Buddy Pro?
No, I never did any of those. I think that was probably partially due to not wanting to pay for it, but probably a lot more of being afraid of, you know, getting banned or cheat clients or viruses or all that kind of stuff.
That's fair. But like, so OS Buddy was like, before RuneLite was a thing, we had OS Buddy, and it had all of these cool tools and these features, and everybody used it. And then there was a premium version of the client called OS Buddy Pro. It cost $2 a month, and it had a bunch of extra features. It would have like things like the GPU plugin. That's what I bought it for, because I really like the GPU plugin and the OpenGL. It just smoothed out all the graphics. Never really been a huge fan of the graphics in this game. I'm always been one of the people that are like, I'd be super thrilled if they came. I'm really looking forward to the HD update they're doing. But anyways, not everyone feels that way. But I was one of those people. So yeah, I used their OpenGL plugin. They had a bunch of different tools that you could use on OS Buddy Pro. That was $2, and it was super legal. You were allowed to use it. And then all this drama happened when RuneLite came out, because RuneLite was an open source version of OS Buddy, and anyone could make plugins. So people started making plugins that OS Buddy Pro had, but they made it free for RuneLite. And it became this huge problem. And like the developer of OS Buddy was actually like somehow integrated with Jagex, or he was like, there's some like weird protections going on with Jagex. So Jagex was actually going to ban RuneLite and make everyone use OS Buddy. Basically what's happening in the US with TikTok, banning TikTok and making everyone use like YouTube Shorts or Reels or something instead. You know what I mean? So kind of that was happening, and then the community pushed back and they changed their mind, which was cool. So we used to kind of have that sort of thing. But yeah, I totally see what you mean. Where it does get like on paper, rune metrics seems okay, but I don't know, kind of sketchy.
Well, something that we haven't really really focused on too much, as far as I have my recorder open right now, and underneath it I have the page on of the apology or whatever we're calling it, and right underneath my Audacity I see game clients and plugins. We will not make plugins or features paid options. We want to reassure you that they will not gate them behind paywalls, and that also applies to RuneLite. Something we haven't really talked about is they have walked all of this back and said they're not going to do it. Which take that for what it's worth. It's probably that kind of means nothing, because they said they were going to do it and then they said they weren't. It
was all in corporate speak. They're like, we have no plans of doing it. Like, yeah, you have no plans right now.
And something sorry, this is I'm kind of not to derail at all, but I do want to highlight something from our Discord. I saw that I thought this was such a good way of putting it. A comment from Sudden Bumhair said, you ask your wife, how do you feel about me getting a mistress? And now you're just asking, but she's still going to be mad. They ask because they want to do it. Getting mad just because they asked is the correct response. So I thought that was a really wise thing to say. It's not, I don't think it's a good argument to say like, well, they asked and now they're not going to do it because we said no. They definitely asked because they're intending to do this. But I will, it is nice that they've said we are not going to do this. It's like we should all print that out and keep it on us, because when that happens,
we can reference it. Yeah, we can reference it 2 years from now and be like, oh my God, see, we knew they were going to just go ahead and do it anyways.
Yeah, and that's definitely like, if they just straight up lie, like if they say they're not going to do it and they do it, then it's like, quit the game. Like they've completely lost any trust we had. And for some people, even asking is that breach of trust, and they are quitting. So once again, that is a personal decision. What your personal line is for all of this can be different from person to person. And if you think they crossed the line too far with this, then you can quit. And that's your decision. If you don't think they crossed the line, like for me, if I haven't really said it, like, my line is when it comes into the game. So like, if this stuff actually comes into the game, yeah, I'm out. But, while it's still
my line is, I think I like, sometimes I can talk like my line is like the second they think they look at me the wrong way, I'm going to walk away. But then sometimes I'm like, you know what? They can like really bend me over for, a couple weeks at least.
Well, and it kind of, for me, it does go back to that conversation from earlier of like, well, comparing it to the Netflix costs, like I use this a hell of a lot more than I use Netflix. But sorry, I'm getting derailed again.
No, but it's right. If you got a personal line, once they cross it, step away. But make sure you take a screenshot of you canceling your membership, post it on Reddit, make a giant post. All very important.
Also, in-game Trey Blob, I'll be on World 386. Give me all your items to make sure that you really leave the game for good.
This is true. You'd have to log off your iron though. But okay, so let's go back. 2016, Rune Metrics comes out, but that same year, the rune coins that we talked about that you could spend at Solomon's shop. You could just buy cosmetics with it at first, but then it let you bypass stuff like some certain grinds. Like you would have like maybe this limited event where you had to chop down 100 trees, or you could spend 1,000 rune coins to skip those tree cuttings. So you were able to bypass certain grinds like that with the rune coin. So kind of getting a little bit weirder with the rune coins. 2 years later, July 2018, they come out with Rune Pass, which was basically the battle pass you see with Fortnite and you see in tons of games. Basically, you have like a battle pass leveling system because we like to level up. Why not level up your microtransactions as well? And as you level up this battle pass by getting points, by doing stuff, every game has a different way of doing it. But RuneScape was different activities rewarded points. You would beat different tiers and then you would get some cosmetic rewards. Sometimes you got some XP boosts, or you could spend like $20 and you could unlock the premium battle pass, which just basically had more unlocks per level. So another way. And, this is in a lot of games, these battle passes. And the worst part is like I find them kind of fun in some games just because like I like leveling up. So in Destiny, when like there's no more leveling up in the game, I like that I get to level up my battle pass instead because it's just kind of fun. But then I get fucking suckered into paying this $20 to get, because then you're like leveling, you're like, oh, and the whole time, every time you get your rewards from it, it goes like, if you paid $20, this is what you could have got. And you're like, man, fuck off. I'm already paid you $60 for the expansion. Why are you making me pay $20? And I have to pay $20 a month to friggin' PlayStation because they're making me pay for it. And I'm paying for my internet bill. Like, how much times do I have to keep fucking paying to play your goddamn game? It gets weird when you're playing games like that on like, you're having to pay for like Xbox Live and you have to pay for the game subscription and you have anyways.
Yeah.
So, so the battle pass system came out. That was a big deal. And they made so many different iterations on it. But people were like, are you fucking kidding me? Mm-hmm. They weren't happy about that one. You play mini games with the old battle pass system?
Yeah. So I'm going to say the most controversial thing I've said this whole episode.
Oh, no.
I think Fortnite is a good game.
They look like they're having fun. I wish I enjoyed Fortnite. I don't, but
I really like Fortnite. It
looks like a fun game.
And I think, Fortnite was kind of the, I'm no internet historian, but as far as I understand it, Fortnite, kind of created the battle pass idea. And I think that the way that they do a battle pass I think it's excellent. It's all cosmetics. And I paid for the battle pass one time and it was really cool. It's like, I'm going to keep leveling up. I got like, the next skin. And then there's like almost like a prestige mode where you could like get a gold version of the skin, blah, blah, blah. But there is a very crucial difference there. With Fortnite and with this kind of stuff with like RuneScape. And it's what you're saying is Fortnite is free to play. And then you have the battle pass that you pay to use. Whereas RuneScape, you're paying for the game once and then you're paying again for the battle pass. Mm-hmm. Which, that's that they're just leeching more and more money off of you.
Feels weird. And it's totally different. And Fortnite is very much, it kind of reminds me of like League of Legends in the sense where it's like the monetization is like, so I don't know. It's like, I don't know. I don't play either games. I shouldn't really give an opinion. I was going to say there's no FOMO. I was going to say there's no FOMO behind Fortnite skins. I have no idea. There's definitely limited skins. I don't know it enough.
If you are a adult with a fully functioning frontal cortex or frontal lobe or whatever, then yes, that's true. If you're 11 years old, and that's why they've had all these lawsuits, because if you're 11 years old, you don't understand any of those kind of psychological tricks, and that FOMO and all that kind of stuff does, get you to steal your parents' credit card.
Oh, dude, it hits me too. I am that 11-year-old, and I also don't have my brain's just underdeveloped, I think. But I drove like an hour to another town because they had these limited edition Warhammer Christmas minis that I'm like, oh, I want it. And so I drove like an hour, and they were closed. So then I had to drive back the next weekend,
banging on the door, open up. I know you're in there.
I was like, I brought my kid with me. We call it, when we go to the Warhammer stores, I call it the monster stores, because they usually have these displays of all the miniatures painted.
Dude, if I was a little kid and my dad said we're going to the monster store, I would have been so excited.
I call it the monster store.
That's awesome.
He gets like so excited. And like we'll go and we'll just like pull out boxes and look at the Warhammer stuff, and he'll lay on the ground and has his feet up like he's like a picture like a high school girl in their bedroom talking on like a corded phone, and they have their like feet kicked up and they're like on their stomach. He'll do that. Oh, it's so funny.
The store clerk comes over like, are you guys gonna buy anything, or get the fuck out of here?
Like his freaking grubby hands off these boxes. You got spaghetti sauce on it. What the hell? FOMO, Fortnite, where are we? Battle Pass system. RuneScape 3 is definitely, they have like so many different tactics going on onto how to and I'm not even doing it justice, because they have the battle pass, they have they called it the yak track, and then they changed it to the hero pass, and then each of those iterations had their own sorts of issues because there was a big uproar, but I just, we're not going to go over it. But a year later in 2019, Jagex did have to go to like this parliamentary inquiry with the UK about gambling and video games and stuff. And what they said was, on average, players spend £45 a year on microtransactions. And one of the reasons that they're saying, like, you know what, we're actually pretty good because we make it so you can't spend more than £5,000 a month on this game's microtransactions. And it's just like, no, that's a lot of money a month. Damn. So yeah, so RuneScape 3 has been through it. So and they are not doing well. They are struggling. They are that cow or the horse that is like completely dehydrated from being milked so much. So, you know, the community is now the CEO of RuneScape. We're in this board room trying to figure out what's happening. We know microtransactions aren't going to work. The other thing that Jagex has tried in the past was like this partnership system. So then it didn't go well. It was actually probably one of the first times I remember there was a huge blowback, similar to what we're seeing now when it comes to specifically microtransactions, not other controversies. So this was a Prime Gaming partnership back in 2018. Do you know the purple skin we have in game? I think you unlock it through Halloween. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
So what they did was they were going to release it for Halloween, but they said, hey, if you want it earlier, if you are paying for Amazon Prime, you can link it to Old School RuneScape and you'll get yourself the early access to this purple skin. You'll get it like 4 months early. And people were pissed. They were like, this is just the first step into like this disgusting like partnership situation where, you know, what their word was like, if I could circle it back to Destiny for a second, Destiny did a partnership with Red Bull. So if you bought a Red Bull, it gave you a code and you had a chance at winning like in-game cosmetics. This was back in Destiny 1. And people were worried that would be a thing, that people could go to Subway and you had a chance at winning maybe a Subway trimmed rune armor set or something. People didn't like that because I actually didn't even bring this up, but this had happened before the microtransactions happened in RuneScape 3. They allowed you to have these things called Google goggles. When Google Chrome came out, they did a partnership with Old School or with RuneScape 3 where you can get these chromatic goggles for using like Google Chrome or something. And then that led in all this microtransaction stuff. So yeah, the partnerships, and then that didn't go too well. They had to backtrack that and cancel that. And then I think they just let RuneScape 3 get completely destroyed in that aspect, because if you go to their Amazon game, you can get like all of these, like you get a pet reward sometimes. They have so many promotions with Amazon gaming that like you get all these in-game rewards if you connect your account. Yeah. And then let's see, what's the last bit that we had here? And really, then it came to like, now let's talk about like, what is Old School RuneScape already doing to make more money? Like, what's their current strategy? And I don't know, obviously that might not be their current strategy, but we know it is somewhere spoken about. And it's basically getting, how many times can we get one person to subscribe to the game? That's definitely one thing they've talked about. And I know for a fact because Mod Matt K once showed on his stream, or maybe it was on Twitter or something, but he was some ex developer, some ex Jagex lead or something like that. But he had a notepad where it was just notes they had for a meeting talking about like ways to monetize, get more money. And it was different game modes. Hey, if we bring back Iron Man, if we bring up Ultimate Iron Man, if we bring in Hardcore Iron Man, it's going to get people to subscribe on 2 accounts. And then let's look at Deadman mode. Let's look at leagues. Let's look at Fresh Start Worlds. Remember Fresh Start Worlds? These are all different ways we can get people to subscribe with multiple accounts. It'll give people a reason to play 2 accounts at once. So that was definitely one of their strategies. And I think it is something strong that we're going to see. We'll continue to see. We're already seeing it, but you mentioned it before, but the Project Xanaris, where you're going to be able to have these private servers, these official private servers that you could play on, might be just another way to get money off of you from playing multiple accounts. And then I'm just going through my last notes. We're running a little bit later than I thought we would. Yeah, I guess, you know what, that's basically it. When we talked about this on Discord a little bit about different ways we can, just trying to hear from what other ideas. We know Jagex needs to make more money. What are some ideas? I pitched the idea of locking massive updates behind like $20 paid DLC packages. I was quickly told how dumb of idea that was and how bad that could be for the game, splitting up the player base and all that sort of stuff. And I agree, terrible idea. I was just joking. But and as someone said, and I think they are doing it, is okay, grow the Jagex team, but don't monetize old school RuneScape. Go make more games, monetize those. Like, go make more games. Like, that's another way you can do it. Like, you don't have to just keep milking one game. You know, do what so many other developers do, and they make a bunch of games.
Yeah, I think as far as that point goes, I think there's me and probably a big portion of the community would be totally fine if this game just froze in place at this point in time, and they just kept on enough people to keep developing, like, you know, quality of life, which I know is, I mean, that's what old school RuneScape was like originally supposed to be. And yes, this game would grow stagnant and die because there's no new content. But like, if they were like, all right, we're going to send like 80% of our new content development team to work on Brighter Shores. I know those aren't related, but, you know, we're developing, you know, cyberpunk RuneScape, which sounds awesome. But,
down.
You know, so like if they're like, we're going to start developing this next game and RuneScape is just going to be maintained and we're going to hopefully drop sailing forever. Like, I think a large portion of the community would prefer that to what they're doing, where they have been updating so many things, you know, new skill, new continent and stuff. And like, obviously, if you listen to this podcast, you know, I'm in favor of a lot of those things. And I think that the content they've been adding is great, but it does seem like for how much they're saying they need more money and for how many developers they have on new content, like there's definitely an argument to be made for like, hey, let's just, you know, maybe this is the golden age. We've done all the content we can. What if the game just freezes in place? The price stays the same forever. And we just develop our revenue with these developers from another game.
Oh, they become the Costco hot dogs of gaming.
Yeah.
I love that. That's beautiful.
I'll have to try one of those sometime.
No,
don't
go
get distracted.
out there.
Don't get distracted.
Oh, they're so good. And they're girthy too. No one tells you how girthy they are. Oh. Anywho, that's just joking.
I'm in.
Yeah, anyways, it's great. I love your idea. I'd work on a new game. Oh my God, Trey, imagine a new MMORPG. RuneScape 40,000. Oh, okay. I would be so down. Yeah. That would be so sick.
What was that? Wasn't there, but like, I know Mechscape was a thing where there was going to be like
Stellar Dawn.
Oh yeah. Yeah. But
that's what the name became, and then it got canceled.
Yeah. And I've never played another game that feels like RuneScape. And I would love to play, you know, RuneScape that takes place in this kind of world, RuneScape that takes place in this kind of world. Like I feel like the mechanics of RuneScape are so good, which is a laughable thing to say. But I would play other games with different settings that felt like RuneScape. But anyways, sorry, that's a whole tangent.
That's for our game jam episode where we are the ones doing a game jam.
That would be a great episode.
And that's it. I think that's like the history. I think we've covered everything that we can cover about this topic. Get your pitchforks or put them away, whatever you want to do. Off with their heads, or let's keep playing RuneScape.
Yeah,
I don't know.
So I think
it's weird. It's a weird time. I think we're all in a very weird place because we know monetization is on their mind. Money is on their mind, and that's, God damn it.
I think if I haven't said it concisely, I think my answer to what they should do is I would like to see a set membership price and, you know, whatever set in, you know, with regards to inflation. It'll raise. It's just the way it works. But a one membership price and then a reduced, a increasingly reduced price for additional accounts. And also, like I would pay the price of a membership to be able to play the same account on leagues and the main game at the same time. That's the most of the reason I didn't play leagues is because I just can't get out of my Iron Man grind. But I would love to do leagues while I'm AFKing on the same account on the main game. So that's an example of something I would pay extra for and feel like I was getting value and would probably have very little development needed to do. So little things like that, like there are avenues that they can get more money that feels so much less slimy. And going back to the beginning of the podcast, I do think that it raising the price, as bad as it is and as frustrating as it is for people, and money is just hard to come by, it is the least like slimy version of that. Like it's just one cost and it's going up. Like it is what it is. I don't like it, but that's what they've done. As opposed to like you don't feel like you're being tricked. I mean, obviously you feel like you're being taken advantage of, but you don't feel like they're tricking you. Is how it breaks down in my mind, at least.
For me, I'm okay with like, I don't know. Maybe invest in other ways. Give me some other RuneScape properties. Give me some, RuneScape novels. Give me a RuneScape movie. Give me a RuneScape board game that I'll happily spend $400 on and not have anyone to play it with, because you realize it's such a friggin' deep game that there's no way you can convince your wife to play it. I need to track all this stuff. She's gonna be like, I want to play Uno. But yeah, make books, make these other properties. I think a lot of us would buy it. You make a new RuneScape game. I'm pretty sure we're all going to pay for it, even if we have no plans to play it.
Yeah,
maybe that's not true. I don't know. Anyways, let us know what you guys think. And if you're like, I'm so sick of hearing this. First off, emergency pod, and you guys like 4 days fucking. We've already heard this. We've already heard all this bullshit. You can tell us that too. That's fine. But Trey, we should probably wrap this up, guys. Our Discord name changed. It's discord.gg/wilderness, not the wilderness, because a friggin' Rust server sniped it from us when we lost the tag for like a hot minute. So it's now just wilderness. Discord.gg/wilderness. Okay. Trey, anything you want to say before we get on out of here?
As far as housekeeping goes, you mentioned, if you're sick of hearing about this, me and Dills did record a year in review.
That's right.
That will be.
We're out of order.
This is going to come out before that because it's an emergency. And then I have another recording potentially today of an all about episode. So we're not going to become drama cast. We're going to get back to our regularly scheduled program. If you are over the drama, well, I would say skip this episode, but this is at the end of it. But yeah, we're going to keep on doing what we're doing here, and we'll try to keep the jabs at Jagex to a minimum. I'm sure there'll be a joke about an ad in game probably every episode for the next year or so. That's just going to kind of be part of the community now, unfortunately. But yeah, we're not going anywhere. We're not quitting the game yet. Once again, like I said in that other episode, I will tell you on this podcast when to delete your account. When the game is officially dead, just keep tuning in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we got our fingers on the pulse, and I'd be down. I kind of love this type of drama, not this type of drama, but I love this nerd drama because I like reality TV shows, and kind of have you been following what's going on with the OnlyFangs Guild on World of Warcraft Hardcore Classic?
We're at the end of the episode.
Oh my god, dude! Pirate Software Thor, he friggin' left his team out to die, and he ran away, and he could have turned around to save him, but he didn't.
Next episode. You know what? Goodness. Fine, we're doing drama cast from now on. That's our next episode.
Soda Poppin', you know what he was saying? So this is his thoughts on the whole matter. So he was watching it, and